Once the lid is sealed, there's no going back, so every little detail matters. Today, we're making Hyderabadi Kacchi chicken biryani, the famous raw-style dum biryani. We start with the Birista, a deceptively simple step of frying onions that could make or break the dish. Medium heat, we melt a generous amount of ghee, enough to cover our sliced onions. Ghee is not just clarified butter. It went through the extra step of having its milk solids gently toasted, giving it a nutty complexity and its signature color. Onions in. First, evaporate their water content to concentrate their water-soluble flavors, namely the sweetness. Then, the fat-soluble aromas, namely the meaty, savory notes, dissolve into the ghee. That's why we can afford to be so generous. This will become our marination oil, rice cooking oil, and dum layering oil. As the temperature increases further, we have the Maillard reaction, and later, caramelization. The onions themselves will become savory and roasty. And just like cooking anything at high temperature, you want to take them just below the desired color, as there will be some carryover cooking. Once we're golden before brown, we strain and keep the fat. Now the pot. In Kacchi biryani, the pot is not just a container, it's a controlled steam chamber. You need headspace for steam to generate and circulate. For that, you want your combined ingredient to reach a minimum of 2/3, but no more than 3/4. And with anything steam related, lid matters. Traditional biryani pot lids are dome-shaped or at least slightly curved. Steam rises and condenses. Droplets go towards the edge and go down the sides. This way, the top is slightly firmer, the bottom slightly juicier, the signature gradient. In a home kitchen, what you want to avoid are these self-basting lids. These dots under the lid would make it rain instead. And just like the old days, we marinate in the pot. Depending on your pot size, you can use whole chicken. Today, we're using chicken thighs. Always bone in, skinless. A, to have more control over fat content. We don't want the dish to become greasy. And B, we actually don't want the added gelatin. We want to keep the clean rice texture. Now we build our marinade. Ginger garlic paste to give us our savory backbone, some zesty freshness from the ginger and mild heat, deep caramelized sweetness from the garlic, and the enzyme would act as a mild tenderizer. Green chilies for some fresh heat and grassy bite. This thing actually builds up to solve for the longevity of the meal, not the first bite. Now the Hyderabadi signature herbs, mint for some cooling freshness, roughly chopped coriander leaves for some citrusy herbal notes. We add half of our beautiful Birista. Now the spices, cumin for some nutty earthy warmth, coriander for some citrusy, slightly woody freshness, cardamom for some sweet floral note, and for me this is the definition of floral, clove for some pungent warmth, but not too much, it can get a bit medicinal, cinnamon for some sweet spice, mace or nutmeg for a bit of perfumed warmth, Kashmiri chili powder for the mild heat, but mostly the color. Everything in. Salt, around 1% of the weight of the chicken, yes, for seasoning, but also to break down protein fibers and help moisture retention, usually a juicy bonus, but since steam control is of vital importance, this is a mandatory step. Now to carry all the beautiful fat-soluble flavors from our spices, we have our onion-infused ghee. Now normally these beautiful flavors would still stay on the surface, but now we introduce the acids. Full-fat yogurt, traditionally dahi. For supermarket, look for Greek-style yogurt because they've been strained and moisture control once again is paramount. This will bring some mild acidity, gently breaking down the proteins. The calcium in the yogurt would help break down the connective tissue. And along with our beautifully scented ghee, the fat content would help carry the fat-soluble flavors from the spices. Now, lemon juice for some sharp acidity. And this would break down the proteins a bit more aggressively, allowing some flavors to go just a little bit deeper minimum 2 hours, ideally overnight in the fridge. Now the rice. For biryani in general, you want long, separate grains, fully cooked to the core, not al dente, not soft. For Kachchi style, we have the added challenge to achieve that while cooking the chicken. To do that, we enlist the help of Sella basmati. Basmati rice that has been parboiled while still in its husks, then dried and milled. The original motive of the process was storage and transport durability. The happy byproduct is that it makes the rice firmer, denser, and less prone to breaking during cooking. With the heat treatment, you lose a bit of fragrance, so if you want to go the extra mile, look for aged Sella basmati. The slow oxidation will give you a stronger, nutty aroma. For separate grains, we rinse to get rid of excess starch. And we soak to hydrate the outer layers of our denser, harder rice to help it cook evenly. About 30 to 45 minutes, not so long that grain weakens. We now par-cook the rice to get it to the same starting point as our chicken. We bring a large body of water to a boil, salt. This will firm up the grain slightly, and we continue to layer fragrance and flavors. Indian bay leaves, less piney, more herbal, and a bit cinnamon-like. On that note, cinnamon for more warmth and woody sweetness. Cardamom to reinforce the sweet, floral perfume. I know the shopping can sound daunting. For example, I'm supposed to use black cardamom for some smoky depth, cloves for some pungent warmth. I ran out. But the idea of the dish is to layer flavors, so don't let the shopping stop you. On that note, more ghee to distribute the fat solubles and help the rice stay separate. We give a few minutes for the flavors to meld. Now the open, boil and drain method, which has been around since at least the 1590s. Our rice, which has gained about 30 to 35% of its weight through soaking, goes in to cook partially. What we're looking for is for them to have a firm bite, but still opaque inside. 4, maximum 5 minutes. We drain. Now, at this point, our rice has gained about 60 to 70% water by weight. In essence, all it needs, but it's not fully cooked. Think about a steak straight from a hot grill. The crust is smoking hot, but the core is still rare. You leave it to rest, the temperature evens out, you have medium rare in the middle. This is where the dum magic comes in for Kachchi biryani. Through gentle steam generated mostly from meat juices, we fully gelatinize our grains, allowing the water that has been absorbed but stay on the outside to even out. We lay our ingredients, our beautiful chicken, rice, loosely packed, resist the urge to press so steam can rise. Saffron soaked in warm milk for color contrast and perfuming the top layer. One more round of our onion-infused ghee for a rich finish, further helping the grains stay separate. Optional, a tiny drop of rose water for some sweet floral sweetness. Kewra water for honey-like herbal note. Fragrance comes up, flavors go down. Round 2, Birista. This wonderful caramelized sweetness and aroma. Now, traditionally, Hyderabadi Kacchi biryani is made in a heavy brass, copper, or clay pot, sealed with outer dough, cooked entirely over wood embers with more embers piled on the lid. In essence, you have a micro pressure cooker with top and down heating. For the home kitchen, the closest thing is the oven. Now, oven and dough makes the cleaning very complicated, and lid with foil would make it rain unevenly. So if you would allow me, my phantom dum method. Heavy lid on, we bring in the most gentle heat to get the steam going. How do we know when it's ready? By touching. Once you struggle to keep your hand here, which takes about 15 to 80 minutes, this goes into a preheated oven at 160. No fan, ideally top and down heating, 40 minutes. We then switch off the oven and keep it there for another 15 minutes. Now we first open the big dum. Now the actual phantom dum. Whew. Look at that. Oh, the smell. Beautiful, separate, scented grains. Look at that. Let me show you what we've been trying to achieve. You have this firm, fragrant top with a bit of Birista, a bit of saffron stained rice everywhere. Then you go deeper. You have this juicy, flavoursome bottom, but not soggy, not a hint of extra grease or moisture, just layered, complex perfection. Of course, I'm going to say it's tasty. Don't trust me. Cook it, please. It's really good.